Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy Kent. I'm a home haunter here in Orlando, Florida, just right outside Disney in Winter Garden. And this year I'm going to bring to you the Asylum, Echoes of Nightmares Past. Every single year I do a different haunted house, a different theme, but I keep it based upon the same story that I've had over the years. So every year is a chapter, and this year is one of our darkest chapters. So this year it's all based upon a 1929 asylum. So it's kind of an older, darker type psychiatric ward, nothing like the new age stuff. But what you're going to do is you're going to go through here, and what happened is that there was a patient that brought this this evil book into it, and it's a relative of the previous year's haunters. But anyway, what happens is a lot of dark stuff takes over the asylum, and then you'll see what happens to all the inmates, and then you have to escape yourself. So we're really excited to bring this to you. Awesome. So come on in, guys. I'm going to show you around a little bit. Like we talked about, you're first going to come on into the asylum. It's kind of like this broken down. You're kind of sneaking back into it again after all these years. But it's kind of come back to life on those Halloween nights. So what you're going to do when you first come on in here, we're still kind of finishing up some of the build, but then you're going to walk into the lobby. So the lobby here has two scenes. When you first come in, it's going to have all the smells. I guess I'll kind of turn on some of the light, but it's the old psychiatric ward. It smells like a hospital, of course. When you first walk in, we kind of set the tone. You know, the God ends here. It's kind of like like nothing's really going to help you a little bit. You might have heard here behind me, we have a little bit of an air blast, which is kind of nice. Over here, just to the right, it's kind of a little bit of a hidden innuendo. St. Elizabeth's Hospital is one of the most infamous psychiatric hospitals in the 20s and 30s with Walter Freeman. He was the head lobotomist and kind of invented a lot of it. So here I had this made on the 31st day of October in 1929, which is the year this takes place. The recipient of a successful transorbital lobotomy, Walter Freeman, and you have my name there a little bit. So a lot of Easter eggs in every single scene. It's kind of nice. I had these wired as well too, got a lot of flicker boxes, but you walk in, you really feel like you've kind of stepped back into the late 20s, which is kind of nice. And then you have the ferns and things in that nature. So as you make your way through here, of course, the Lord's Prayer. I like to mix a little bit of religion in there because it makes things unsettle. Growing up watching The Exorcist, it kind of gives that uneasy feel to it. And then of course, just the thanks. So we're going to move on in here to the next room. Of course, you got to check in. I have the loud audio that I did unplug, which is kind of nice. So this is where you're going to check into your booth here. You have our young lady, our receptionist. Unfortunately, she's seen better days. If you take a look, I kind of really set everything up as you would. It's like an old hospital check-in door. It's got the plexiglass here, of course, ring for service, and the old candles. Keys, of course, for the inmate cells you'll see later on, with even more hanging up here. And a little more Easter eggs from an old party that I had way back in my 20s. You want to take a look at the photos. What I like doing is giving a lot of throwbacks to what kind of got us in today's realm. Did a lot of Halloween parties, and that inspired these home haunts. We have some photos of some previous parties and the certain moments. Also some little hidden innuendos. We have like Ted Bundy. I was watching that series and kind of fell in love with a lot of it. So a lot of the photos are kind of throwbacks to kind of what's coming on through here. Also, another film I watched growing up as a kid, Back to the Future, Save the Clock Tower, and George McFly. You can see 2 tickets to the Enchantment Under the Sea. So those are kind of cool things. You normally wouldn't see it in the normal lighting, but as you make your way through the lobby even more, kind of going back to, hey, it was a very subtle, welcoming spot, and not anymore. Evil is kind of really taking over the premises of this asylum. Now we're going to make our way, after you've checked in, we're going to go to the back of the asylum. That's where things are really going to get interesting. Oh God, and then you see one of our patients. Yeah, horrifying. So as soon as the guests walk right on in, I want to set the tone right away. So we welcome you, you're unsettled, now we're going to scare the hell out of you. And that's kind of like I do. A lot of my haunts, I like to go towards the darker side of things, and this year's definitely it. So we have the heat sensors that go off. He'll probably go off again, so don't worry about it. But he's one of our patients here. And There's my sensor, so she'll go off in a little bit. Anyway, so what's really gonna bring it together is it's a distraction. So while you're looking at this place, it's gonna go off behind you. This, of course, is just more evil. It's a part of that book that they brought in, so I wanted to make sure that was part of the whole rig. And of course, little Easter eggs. We got Richie down here from from the City of Derry, his missing piece. So I like to incorporate a lot of things together. So come on with me. Ah. So as you make your way into the asylum, we're gonna go in the basement. There's only one fun way to do it, but it's very scary. It's the claustrophobia way, of course. So we put in 8-foot bladder walls. It makes it a lot of fun, and it continues to tell the story. We've made it to the back of the asylum. So this is Reagan Prescott, used from two of my favorite people, Reagan O'Neill from The Exorcist and Sidney Prescott from my favorite movie of all time, Scream. This unfortunate soul here, we put the barbed wire in. Of course, just the fake barbed wire. But over here, every prop in the asylum was custom made. So there's nothing from any of your big chain stores. This one here is from Twisted Rot Productions. He does an amazing job. But this is our young patient. She was a young lady, and unfortunately she died. The doctor got a hold of her and did a lot of bad things here with the barbed wire. She's your first scene as you come on into it. And then what you're gonna do, of course, you're gonna make your way back even deeper into the asylum through the dark hallways. So when you first come in, here's another one of our patients. Head was gutted, of course. So it's almost kind of like, haha, I got you so much, I'm gonna staple it, I'm gonna show it off as a trophy. So here you have a head, of course. We use a lot of the stuff in the face, that way it slows a lot of the guests down. Here's another one of our bodies wired up in barbed wire, of course, just freshly his limbs were cut off. In this hallway, I know you guys can't see it or smell it, but it smells like rotting decay. As you make your way in, yet again, we have even more skeletons that were kind of hooked and things of that nature. So you have two more of your patients, and then you're gonna move on in. Here's a little trick I didn't really, people may not be able to see it. I don't have lighting on it now, but I will by the time the haunt opens up, is a danger high voltage. I actually use pet pads. You put these on your furniture, and it shocks your animal to teach them, a light, gentle shock, of course, to teach them not to sit on that furniture. Well, I put handprints on here, and when you touch it, it actually sends a jolt to you. So being in the dark, of course, you may not be able to see it, but people that feel around might actually get a jolt. So it's kind of a little something, it's kind of a tribute to shock therapy when it was first coming around. So then every asylum, of course, have to have facilities, and we have a big nasty one in here as well. This is our bathroom scene. As you can see, there's defecation all over the walls. We have tile, of course, old mirrors. Everything's from the old 1920s. You're not gonna find anything that's new. You find it in any large store, you just find a rectangular mirror. I didn't want to do that with any design. I really wanted to make people feel like they were transformed in the late 1920s. So up here on top, of course, you have all the toilet paper. You have cockroaches, and like I said, the defecation. With all that, I'm gonna move those flats there. Oh, and of course, as you're looking here, this is an effect. You may not be able to see it on the camera, but when you look over here, it's actually a spitter effect. It's supposed to be urine. So you're over here looking, there it is, spitting right there. So while you're looking down here, we have the cockroaches and the defecation all over. You're looking here, and the urine will actually get you on the right-hand side. So it's really kind of a classic little thing. Put all the old, all the vents in there. I want to make it as authentic as possible. When you're done here in the bathroom scene, of course, we're gonna go into every asylum has a padded room. So this one is what I call Cell 87. This one is a very trippy type effect. I have foam walls on either side, and you're gonna make your way through. And at the end, you're finally gonna find the patient who was housed here. And of course, their head is hanging. That's how we like to do it around here. So we'll keep that going. And yeah, you're moving through. The strobe lights are pretty trippy, but they're kind of cool. So what happens is it kind of makes you go insane in a way too. You're surrounded by these foam pads, and then of course you have the head of the victim who ended it all right here. So how do you get through? Well, of course, if you just push through some of the foam padding, you can come on into the next scene. This one too is our children's ward, part of the asylum here. This is the young lady. She did a lot of Sunday school action with the kids, but this is a throwback. We call it the Asylum Echoes of Nightmares Past, and there's a reason why. Like, all the scenes kind of incorporate together that bring the past to life now. But this one here, it's a tribute to the 2016 gathering in the haunted house that I did, but I decided to bring it back to life because it was a pretty gnarly story. Of course, she taught children Sunday school and things like that. The backstory is on the website, you can check it out. But I have 13 crosses all here for each one of the children that unfortunately passed away. I used of course parts of the Bible there, all the pages as the background. And then of course you have her detail as well too. She's really kind of cool. So you bring her on in here, and it's just kind of what would be in the children's ward. They were having a Halloween party, but a lot of the old stuff. And then the evil, the old blocks and the doll heads, of course. And then if you read the story, you'll find how she ended it all here, and it's kind of neat. Also, like little Easter eggs up there, Jeremy, of course, and then one of the children as well too. With the lighting, it really looks good. Trick or treat, so it's kind of a fun little thing. So after the children's ward, you're going to make your way into the boiler room. This one's a really cool scene. I use the air walls again to separate it, not only for the effects but also the story as well too. The red was used as it's like holy in blood, white and everything. So you're going to come on in here in this one, and this is a really cool scene. Because as soon as you come into this one, we actually have a fog effect. The pipes burst. So you look around, there's pipes everywhere, and then one of our gas chamber victims, which is wild. You can kind of see the liquid sky effect giving you that thing. So what you got to get out really quickly. So come on in into the second chapter of the boiler room. And then of course every boiler room has pipes and chains hanging down here. On the left-hand side, I have a drop door panel. For a character. So if I have nights where I do have a character, this is a very loud drop door panel. So what happens? Now you're in the basement, you're in the boiler room, and there's only one way out of this, and it's through a secret tunnel that was in the basement of the asylum. So that's what we have here. Still a work in progress, but it's a cool little tunnel where you're able to go down. Now you'll notice here on the right hand side, I have a lot of the faces as well too of the souls and everybody else that tried to escape and didn't. So they're kind of trapped in this underground tunnel, but it's going to lead you to our finale scene where you're finally going to meet the doctor himself, the one who owned and ran the asylum, who became possessed and killed all of the patients here. So come on in, guys. They bring it right up through the weeds, it's like it's underground, and then lastly into here, and this is where you're going to find our doctor. Of course, you can read the whole backstory on the website and find out what happened to him too, but you have some of the tools, the rats and things. Still making some final details to him, but he's kind of the final piece you get to see here at the end. He's our one last scare before you finally and luckily exit the asylum, and that's where we'll take you right back into here. Perfect. And then of course, what we're gonna do is this all purple lighting, and then we'll have some of the asylum stuff because it does exit you out here into the interior of my home. It'll kind of bring it on in, and then out you go, and that's the asylum. Thank you guys so much for checking out the Asylum Echoes of Nightmares Past. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to put this together this year, and I'm really looking forward to you guys checking it out. You can find us at echoesoftheasylum.com, ECHOS. .com, and then also on Instagram, it's _theasylum_. So thank you guys so much for checking us out today, and look forward to seeing you out there.